You're listening to the Angry Marks Podcast Network.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. My name is Arya Whitner, and this is an NXT update for Wednesday, January 31st, 2018. Thank you all for listening. It is the Wednesday after TakeOver, and you know what that means. It's time for a show full of video packages interspersed with a couple short matches. Let's jump right in. Now, all week long, including just before the show went on the air, they aired a commercial that Roderick Strong would be going one-on-one with Lars Sullivan. Now, this may make a lot of people listening to scratch their heads, since you may have read the spoilers, or you may have been on the Twitter machine today and saw that NXT was definitely promoting Strong versus Tyler Bate, which is, in fact, what happened. So I have no idea where the idea of Strong versus Sullivan came from, except that they just changed their mind but never decided to change the commercial. The show began with the first of 7 video packages. 7! Recapping TakeOver. I'm gonna cut out everything right now. They did a video package for each and every match. They also did one for the entire TakeOver, which would start at the show. And they also did still shots for both Andrade Cien Almas and Adam Cole in the Royal Rumble match itself. Now, I'm not going to bother telling you about each and every video package at this point. I'm just going to tell you if there was a promo or something afterwards. So, kicking off the show was the sophisticated Southern Belle, Lacey Evans, going one-on-one with the lady she cut a promo on just a few weeks ago on TV. She's going one-on-one with Nikki Cross of Sanity. She had stated prior that she did not want to have to lay her hands on a psycho like Nikki Cross. And unfortunately for her, Cross had no problems laying her hands on Evans as Cross exploded at the bell, beating her both in and out of the ring. Cross at one point trapped Evans in the ring apron and beat her down Fit Finlay style. Lacey did get the heat back in the ring by yanking Nikki off the middle rope. At one point, by the way, Percy was so used to never speaking, he called Morrow Nigel, but was corrected just as soon as Evans missed a moonsault. Cross used the pound and ground, trademark Michael Cole, and won with the swinging fisherman's suplex. This has led me to ask, a question that no one's ever asked, I don't think. Do fishermen typically suplex one another? I don't know. Shayna Baszler was interviewed by Kayla Braxton after her match at TakeOver. She said that Ember did not win. She barely survived. And Shayna told Kayla to go ask Ember who really won. All of Undisputed Era was backstage complaining that Aleister Black beat them, or beat Cole anyway, when Cole barked that Sanity was going to have to pay, which led to the announcement that next week, in this very ring, Fish and O'Reilly will finally defend the NXT Tag Team Championship against Eric Young and Alexander Wolf. Velveteen Dream said that the only reason he didn't win in 30 seconds was because Cassius Ohno knocked his mouthpiece out. And then we had the return of not only TM61, it was a return of Gabriel and Uriel Ely, who are large black twin brothers. Their most famous bout on NXT, for lack of a better word, was perhaps in, I think, their first TV match. They got their butts kicked by a rampaging Samoa Joe. And every time I think of the Ely brothers and being beat up by the rampaging Samoa Joe, because during the same storyline, because when Joe had injured Nakamura and was demanding Mr. Regal give up the NXT title, this was the same time when they built up for 4 or 5 weeks the debut of this giant musclehead known as Dan Matha. And then, as Matha made his way to the ring for his very first match, Samoa Joe ran down and on a rampage beat the crap out of Matha, and we've yet to see him ever return to the televised ring. Thorne and Miller looked good here, including Thorne hitting a Fosbury flop on both Elis. And I'll tell you what, I don't know what happened to these two in the last year, but they showed a lot more personality in this match than they ever did before their injury. The Elis got the brief heat illegally using the twin magic. Thorne and Miller took back over, hit a lot of hot moves, and picked up the win with Thunder Valley, which, if you forget, is a double press slam. Mauro at this point started talking about the NXT year-end awards when he suddenly, in mid-sentence, cut himself off and pitched it urgently to the backstage area where Christy St. Cloud was interviewing TM61 in a 7-second promo where TM61 say they're the mighty, and the mighty don't kneel. All episode long, they built up that we would have exclusive footage of what happened after Tommaso Ciampa beat up Johnny Gargano at the end of NXT TakeOver this past Saturday. And this exclusive footage, the footage that they wanted you to sit around all show long to see, was of Tommaso Ciampa limping away backstage, dragging his crutch, while refusing to answer any of the questions from the people randomly asking him crap. Zelina Vega took credit for Andrade Cien Almas not only being NXT champion, but being in the Royal Rumble, and she asked sarcastically, where was Johnny wrestling? And she stated that he was probably in his room watching TV. They talked about EC3's official signing with NXT, mentioned it was his first time in 5 years. Now, you might recall during the weekend, they were spelling his name with a space between the C and the 3. Well, they've eliminated the space, and it's back to the TNA visual of EC3 as one 3-character name. By the way, Adam Cole next week is going to go one-on-one with Killian Dane. And then we got the main event. A number 1 contender to the United Kingdom title match. The first champion, Tyler Bate, and the loser of the first round match of the 205 Live Cruiserweight title tournament, going one-on-one with Roderick Strong. Can Tyler Bate, who just last night lost to TJ Perkins in his quest to win the Cruiserweight title at WrestleMania, can he come back from that sad defeat and beat Roderick Strong? In a word, no. But I'll tell you what, if you're ever going to watch a 9-minute match, and man, you think to yourself, if I could see one 9-minute match and to show all my friends, this is what a great wrestling match is. This is the match you want to show them, because it only went 9 minutes, but it was perhaps the best 9-minute match you're ever going to watch. Bate early on used an airplane spin, which caused Mauro to mention the famous incident where Gorilla Monsoon gave Muhammad Ali an airplane spin. Strong used approximately 5,000 backbreakers in the first 3 minutes of the match. The fans loved both men, filling the air with dueling chants here. Strong at one point bent Bate backwards over his own back in a stretch, which could not have felt good. Bate sold his back the whole way while doing a kip-up. Despite his injured back, he still did a standing shooting star press. And then we had just an amazing 60-second sequence where both men went for just about every move either of them knows, and the other one kept reversing it into a move of their own. It was just a fascinating, fantastic sequence that even if you ignore the other 8 minutes of the match, you'll feel well worth it just watching that 60 seconds. Culminated, by the way, with Bate hitting a springboard kick to the head. Strong came back and finally picked up the win with a release suplex into a backbreaker. The match was so good, the fans gave it a standing ovation afterwards. Even Tommy Wiseau in the front row had to admit this was really good. And before anyone asks, no, it was not really Tommy Wiseau. It was that fan who's at every show in the front row who wears the shirt and tie who kind of looks like Wiseau. So that does it for this week's NXT. The main event by itself made it better than most post-takeover NXTs, and at the very least, the main event is well worth going out of your way to watch. We're back to normal next week, and we're on the road to New Orleans for WrestleMania. But until then, I want to thank you all for listening, and I'll talk to you again in 7 days.
You're listening to the Angry Marks Podcast Network.